Well, hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today I'm recording this video on my new iPhone 17 Pro. Now, I recently got the iPhone 17 Pro because my iPhone 11 Pro, which was over 6 years old, was finally dying on me. And since I got this brand new phone that is supposed to have just the top of the line cameras for a smartphone, I thought I would do a video where I take a look at the cameras on the phone, the video quality that you're able to get out of the phone, the actual pictures that you're able to get with the phone, and compare them with a pro camera that I use almost every day, my Fuji X100VI. You hear that debate all the time, you know, whether or not the smartphone is finally up to the point where it can replace the pro camera, where you don't need to carry these expensive, large, unwieldy cameras around. All you need is the smartphone in your pocket. And I'm not going to do this pixel peeping kind of comparison between images taken with the iPhone 17 Pro and the Fuji X100VI. I just wanted to go through the process of snapping some photos with the iPhone 17 Pro, the Fuji X100VI, editing them, manipulating them the way I would normally if I were just taking pictures with my digital camera, and then comparing the results and seeing what I think. I also thought it would be fun to record this video on the iPhone 17 Pro. The one issue with that is the fact that if you are using the 48 megapixel normal camera lens on the back of the iPhone 17 Pro, you can't see what you're recording because you don't have a screen. If I was using the front-facing camera, I could, but it doesn't have the same kind of quality. So what does the iPhone 17 Pro offer, especially over my old iPhone 11 Pro? Well, you have three lenses on the back: a normal lens, a wide-angle lens, and a telephoto lens. The sensors on all three of those lenses are 48 megapixels. You have the ability to do 4 times optical zoom, and then you can do 8 times software assisted. And you can record video in 4K ProRes, so a RAW format. You could also do 4K at 24 frames a second, 30 frames a second, 60 frames a second, 120 frames a second in 4K, which is very cool. You do have the option to do HDR. If you're doing ProRes, you can't do those high frame rates. ProRes is a format. When I'm recording video on my Canon R6, for instance, I shoot that in Canon Log, and then that's a very editable or color gradable video format. So you retain a lot of information, and that's how I always shoot my videos, and then I color grade them afterwards. And the fact that they have added that to the iPhone 17 Pro is very cool. You have the option now to do kind of a flat picture and then format that, color grade that later. And I'm shooting this video right now in 4K, 24 frames a second RAW or ProRes. On the camera app, it's very cool as well. You have the option between those three lenses on the back of the phone. And I like it with the normal lens. They actually show the focal length of the lens that you're using or the zoom amount that you're using. So the normal lens, if you click that, you could do 1 times magnification, which is equivalent to a 24 millimeter lens. Supposedly, we'll get into this. You hit it again, you get 28 millimeters. You hit it again, you can do 35 millimeters. And you can also pick a default focal length for that normal lens. And as you kind of cycle up through the lenses, it'll actually show you the equivalent focal length, which I really think is nice. You know that if you're shooting at like 40 millimeters or 50 millimeters or 100 millimeters, you have the option to take your photos in the HEIF format at either 12 or 24 megapixels. And then you can also take them in the RAW format at 48 megapixels, using up that entire sensor. Very cool. And then the video options, as I was mentioning, you can pick between 24 frames, 30 frames, 60 frames, 120 frames. You can do 4K, you could do HD, you could do the ProRes format, you can do HDR. There are just all sorts of different options. And it's still not quite up to the point of a pro camera where you can pick your aperture and your shutter speed, and you can really dial in your exposure and depth of field and all those things that, you know, kind of matter if you're actually doing video production or taking photographs for a living. I don't take photographs for a living, but I am an enthusiastic hobbyist. But you still have a lot more options than you used to have with a phone. So I went out on a very cold, wet, rainy, dreary Christmas Eve, and I went down to a local park and just started snapping some pictures. Now I'm going to show you a series of images, and I'm going to show them to you in a certain format. You will see footage of me taking the photograph on the iPhone 17 Pro. Then you'll see the edited, color graded photo. Actually not color graded. I did all of these in black and white because it was so dark and dreary. There was no color in the scene anyway. And so I did black and white conversions of all the iPhone 17 Pro images, and I tried to make them look the way I would try to make my X100VI pictures look. Something that I like. The exposure, the amount of shadow detail, the highlights, the contrast, everything. I did the same kind of process to these photos that I would do to my X100VI pictures. So you'll see the footage of me taking the picture on the iPhone, you'll see the final version of the photo from the iPhone, and then you'll see a version of the same photo that I took with my X100VI. I'm going to show you this series of images, and I'd like you to look at them and see what you think. All right, so now you've seen the series of images. You've seen the iPhone 17 image and you've seen the X100VI image. All of them edited, graded the way I would do normally if I'm taking photos, digital images from my X100VI. All the iPhone photos were shot in RAW. All the X100VI photos were shot in RAW as well. Now, what did you think? Does the iPhone 17 Pro hold up against a pro level camera like the X100VI? I don't think so. And I don't even think it's very close. The images are nice for a smartphone, and you still have to use that caveat. For a smartphone, the iPhone 17 does a great job, and it now offers you a lot more options than you had in the past. But it just still doesn't compare to the images that you get from a large lens with a large sensor and something that's able to take in so much more light and just resolve the image so much better. When you look at these back to back, for one thing, I've noticed that supposedly I was shooting all of these at 35 millimeters in the iPhone 17 because that's what I have on my X100VI. It's still not the same. It's not quite equivalent to the focal length of my 35 millimeter lens on my X100VI. That's number one. Number two, the contrast just doesn't look as good. The resolution, even though it's a 48 megapixel sensor on the iPhone 17 Pro and a 40.2 megapixel sensor on the X100VI, it still just doesn't look as good. There doesn't seem to be as much detail. It seems more muddy. Again, you don't have the option to choose your depth of field. You can't play with shutter speed. You can't play with the ISO, really. Basically, what you get with the iPhone is what you get. And there's just not much leeway to manipulate that when you're actually taking the photographs. And I think if you look at that, go rewind this video and look again at the images, take them with the iPhone and then take them with the X100VI. I would pick the X100VI images every single time. Obviously, I know which ones I took. This wasn't the sort of comparison where I'm trying to get you to guess which one was which, but I think it's pretty obvious when you look at the images. So at the end of the day, I think the iPhone 17 is a great tool for taking photos. And if it's the only camera you have in your pocket at any given moment, it'll take perfectly serviceable images. But it still just isn't anywhere close to replacing an actual dedicated camera, in my opinion. Unless they come out with a smartphone that has a full, 35 millimeter lens on the back that has a sensor, and the sensor in the X100VI is APS-C. It's a crop sensor camera, so it's not even a full frame sensor, but it still just looks so much better. It resolves so much better. It can take in so much more light. It's just not anywhere close. So, iPhone 17 Pro camera, great. You have great options for video and for still photos, but I'm still going to be taking my actual camera with me wherever I go. But if, something happens, if there's a quick photo opportunity where I can't get my camera out, can't get the lens cap off in time, and I just happen to have my phone on me, I don't feel like I'm going to be missing out too much taking a photo with my iPhone 17 Pro versus the X100VI. So, thank you so much for watching this little comparison with the iPhone 17 Pro cameras and the X100VI by Fujifilm. I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things. If you haven't checked out my Instagram, I have a link in the description box below. Check that out, my photography-focused Instagram. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.